All right, guys, well, welcome to a new class that we're going to be doing this rotation. This one's really going to focus on this program called After Effects. I mean, this is what it looks like when you've got it loaded up. It looks a little intimidating when you first get started with it. I know it was for me, but after getting into it and playing with it for a little bit, I think you'll really begin to see it's got some cool stuff that we can do with it, and it will begin to look pretty similar to Photoshop and Illustrator, and I think you'll begin to understand how it works, and you'll really see some similarities between it and some of the other Adobe programs that we've used. So let's go ahead and just begin to explain some of these different sections and what they are. And we're just going to really look at the layout of After Effects first and really just begin to wrap our heads around it. So up at the top here, this is our menu bar. So up here where it says After Effects, File, Edit, Composition, Layer, Effect, Animation, View, Window, and Help, that's our menu bar. So if you ever hear me say go to the menu bar and click on something, that's what I mean, is go all the way up to the top up here and do something up here. Underneath that we have the tool panel, and this is where we've got a number of different tools that we're going to be using to create and edit our videos and making our effects, is by using these ones, which is in the toolbar. Next, highlighted in blue already, is our project panel. And the project panel is where we're going to load up all of our assets that we're going to use. So our assets might include footage, which is video that we've taken, so you'll see it's termed footage. It might just be still pictures or audio clips that we're putting in, different things. This contains all of these types of files here. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna, just so that we can kind of see what that actually looks like, I'm gonna load a video into here, and that'll help us to kind of see some of the other parts of this in as well. Okay, so I loaded a video in here. You can see it's just a random video that I took just to have something in here to take a look at. What we can do then, you see over here that we've got nothing in this composition window. The composition window is where basically we see everything that's happening. This is where we put together all our layers and we make it, look how we want it to look inside of the video, and we will see that show up here. Well, to actually create a composition, because right now we've just got a new project, but to actually create a new composition, we want to use a tool that's going to kind of help us do that automatically. So down here you'll see there's this button, and it gets a little blurry as I zoom way into it, but it's got, maybe it looks like kind of like a film strip, has a circle and a square and a triangle in it. That is our Create New Composition button. Whoa. And so what we can do with that, we can take our movie, because right now this movie is just loaded in. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to drag it down here to that button that I was showing you. When I drag it over top of it, it turns it into that blue color, and if I let it go on top of there, you see that it created a new composition. Now, this gives us some things that we can actually do with inside of that composition. So down here now, I've got what's called the Layers panel. This is where you're going to really begin to see some similarities between Photoshop and Illustrator, because I've got my drop-down arrows, and I can do different things with this video. It also works very similar to the layers in Photoshop and Illustrator, and that whatever is on top is going to be on top in the video, and if it's on top it's going to be forward. Things that are on the bottom are kind of in the background, and so that will be important to remember as well, as the use of layers. We also have over here, these are like our layer modes, and there's different things that we can do with each of the layers, and so we'll get into that in a little bit, but you can see that we've got some different modes that we can put in here to our layers. Over here now, this is our timeline panel. And so our timeline panel, you can see that as I scroll across here that this video was 9 seconds long. The nice thing about using this button to create the new composition and by just dragging it over there is that it automatically set my composition and my timeline panel to the exact length of the video, and it also set the screen to the right size for the video that I have. So it's a nice way to do it. It just will do it automatically for you. This button here that is kind of looks like blue, maybe a little triangle looking thing. This is our timeline scrubber, and so as I move across the timeline, you can see that my video is scrolling across as well. Now initially you'll see as well as I kind of move that it really pixelates it, but then as I drop it, it kind of gets it back into place. That's because it's doing something called rendering, and you'll hear us say render quite a bit as well. You'll even notice that as I move across that it starts to get these green lines in there, and so that means that that section has rendered it. And so even now as I can scroll across this little section here that's already been rendered, you can see that it's not getting blurry or pixelated now. It's able to render it much quicker. But until it's kind of all been rendered, as we scroll through, it'll look very pixelated, at least initially. Eventually, though, if you see this green bar all the way across, that means that it's gone through and rendered the whole thing, and it should play through much quicker then as well. Up on the side here, you'll see also we've got some other panels with some other information. So we've got this info panel here. That just kind of tells us whatever the color that our mouse is over. We've got our preview panel, and with this one is a really nice one to use, because with this we can click here on go to the next frame, and so within each frame of the video we can click through that. Right now there's 30 frames per second. So in the video that I recorded, you can see over here that this video was shot at 30 frames per second. What that means is that for each second of video, there were 30 frames inside of there. So you can see as I kind of click through, it's going very slowly through, and there's 30 frames that will fill 1 second of video. So in 9 seconds, that's almost 270 frames. And so keep that in mind, because some of the things that we are going to do, you're going to have to do for every frame. So you may not want to make super long videos. Okay, we also have our effects and presets video, our panel, and that's we're going to get into that, and you guys will eventually really love doing that. And then we'll also have some other tools here. Right now we only have the align panel here, but eventually we can open up some other panels that will fill in here as well. All of this right now is just inside our standard workspace. So we've got our workspace and our standard. We've got other ones as well, but we're going to just at least initially just work off of what was called the standard workspace, and you guys may want to customize that later, but for now we just want to use this standard workspace. Okay, so I think that's a good first look at After Effects, and that kind of gives us a real quick introduction into just some of the terms and some of the panels and the different layout that we're going to be looking at this rotation.